Hello, I'm Geoff Cooper. Welcome to the Kingfisher Diaries. For the last 25 years, as a professional angler, writer and broadcaster, I've travelled the length and breadth of Ireland, finding nooks and crannies that most people never see. I'm about to take you on a gentle journey, meeting new friends and finding places that maybe I've never seen before, and certainly introducing you to places that you will have never been. And hopefully, on the way, we'll be doing some fishing. Today I'm travelling through the county of Leitrim. I'm travelling up to Loch 4 on the Shannon-Erne link. The Shannon-Erne link links the Shannon from Leitrim all the way up to Belturbet on the Erne, and I've been told that Loch 4 is a really nice place to fish, and what I want to do today is I want to try out my old rod, which I'm going to tell you all about. In 1963, a very great and dear friend of mine won the World Angling Championships in Luxembourg on the River Moselle. He won with 10 pounds 6 ounces, first English angler ever to win a World Championship. Many reasons limited the English angler, and one of the reasons was that in the World Championships, all you could use was 20 metres of line. Now, the Continentals were using long poles and short lines, which gave them an advantage. But my friend Billy Lane, went over there with a reel like this, with 20 metres of line on it. And this is the rod he actually used to win the World Championship. Billy made this himself. It's made of Spanish reed. It's got cotton whippings on it, which are varnished to all the rings in place. This is the butt section. And the second section is also Spanish reed. And this is it. And the clever bit is there's a Spanish reed splice put into this bit, which starts to reduce the size of the rod and gives it the action. And then the tip section is this. And that's also Spanish reed. Now this, the bendy bit that does the business, in actual fact, is what we call split cane. And it's made on a router machine. There's 6 sections, and when it's made, it's glued together, it's bound with cotton, and it's put in a bath. And when I say a bath, it's a special bath. It's a metal trough with low melting metal in it, and you put it in the trough, and it bakes and hardens it, and it also straightens it. And when it's made, it's then put into the Spanish reed as an insert, and you've got the finished rod. Now, unfortunately Billy died, he passed away, and his son Alan actually passed the rod on to me, because he knew that I thought a lot about Billy. Billy taught me a lot about fishing, great innovator. And the rod was passed on to me. Now what I would like to do now is I'd like to take the rod out of retirement for the last time, and let's go and see if we can catch a few fish on it. Well, here we are with the old rod. We're on Loch 4 on the Shannon-Erne link in the lovely county of Leitrim. The rod's out of retirement for the last time. We're going to see if we can catch a few fish on it. I don't expect to catch 100 weights. In fact, I don't really want to. I think it would be cruel to the old rod. But I think what we need to do is, last time out of retirement, let's see if we can catch a few fish on Billy's rod. Of course, we're using the old style reel as well. I mean, the modern casting reels, all you do is you just open the bail arm and away you go. But with the old style reels, which are still quite popular in some quarters for actually trotting the stream, you have to pull the line back in your fingers. This is what I call a two-fingered cast. Pull the line back through the rod rings and cast it in, like that. Let's hope there's some fish here, just for Billy's rod. On the first cast, we catch a little roach, a beautiful little roach on Bill's old rod. What a lovely little fish. Look at that. The rod is remarkably responsive. I thought it might feel a bit cumbersome. It's heavy because it's made of wood. I mean, modern rods are just made of carbon fibre. They're pencil thin and they're very light. But it casts well enough still. And the response I got from it there when I struck into that fish was quite remarkable. Let's see if we can get another one. Still casts well. And another fish. It's a perch. Tiny perch. But nevertheless, a fish. They're all lovely. Beautiful little perch. There's 2 fish in 3 casts. That's not bad. It's not bad on a 50, 60-year-old rod anyway. Another fish. See, the old rod does work well. That's another roach. I have to make a slight adjustment to the float, and I'd rather actually mention something to you about this float. That float's 60 years old, and it's a quill, and it's wood. Now, 60 years old, down here, I have a modern float. How much difference? Not very much, really. This one's a little bit slimmer. In actual fact, for today's work, it's probably a better float than that would be. And we're into a fish. Not a bad fish. I think it feels like a perch. Yep, that's a perch. Yeah. The old rod certainly still works. Wonderful. Beautifully marked little perch, look at that. You couldn't paint that. The Shannon-Erne link. It was opened up about 15 years ago to carry boat traffic from Leitrim up to Belturbet. And it was a great idea, and it certainly worked, because what it's done, apart from anything else, it's made miles and miles of beautiful countryside wide open for boat traffic. And of course, what it's also done, it's opened up for some wonderful fishing. Well, we've been fishing about 10 minutes now. We've caught a few fish, and what I'm catching are standard fare for this particular type of water. There's small fish, which doesn't bother me. As I said, that's not the object of the exercise. It's to bring the old rod out of retirement and just catch a few more fish. But this water, it's got an awful lot of hybrids. There's some bream, some big bream if you find them, and roach, of course, and perch. Here comes a narrowboat. It's on its way, I think, back home from where it was hired. There is quite a few narrowboats on this stretch of waterway, and as I've said, the waterway is good for everybody. It's good for the fishing, and it's good for people on holiday. These people are obviously enjoying themselves. They're going to go through my swim, but to be quite honest, I don't care. There's room for everybody. I'll probably give them a wave as they go by. I suppose fishing's not all about solitude. When you get company like I've got on the far bank, they've been looking at me and I've been looking at them, and they're chewing away at the grass, and it makes this game wonderful. It's all part of the great game we love. I've seen kingfishers fly by here today. I saw a kingfisher drop in and actually catch a fish and take it back, obviously, to its young further upstream. We've got the horses over there. Magnificent, magnificent. Anybody that doesn't get out into the countryside, you know, my advice is get out there, because it's an absolutely marvellous place to be, and the things you see are absolutely wonderful. There's another fish. Only a small one. But you might have noticed that on the end of my landing net, there's a little camera, and it's an underwater camera. So I think what you've got the old and the new, really. You've got the old rod and new innovation. There's the fish, look, in the net. It's absolutely wonderful where Irish country roads can lead us. It's led us here today. I've never been here before, but what a wonderful, wonderful place. And during the series, I shall be visiting many other places like this in my camper van. And what we're going to do now is we're going to move up the road a little. There's another very, very interesting place not too far from here. And before we do that, I'm going to officially retire Billy's old rod. It'll go back on the wall in my office, and it's done its job once again. We've caught a few fish on it. That was the object of the exercise. Now it'll go back in the glass case on my office wall. Brian, this place it's actually your brainchild, isn't it?
It's
a fabulous place. I've just been fishing down the roadways, and I thought, well, I'll call in and have a look. I've not been before. I've never met you before. You're a great character. And how long have you been doing this kind of thing?
We started 13 years ago, and then we opened it to the public about 10 years ago. And there's about 7,000 artefacts in it, you know.
I should imagine there are, and I should imagine that they're getting more difficult to find now, aren't they?
Getting a lot more difficult to find, and it's important that we do find them because we're losing our heritage so fast, and they have just got to be got and restored, and that's all we can do.
There's very, very few places like this, I don't think. I've never seen one like this before. It's remarkable.
There are a few places around, all right, so there are, but they're getting fewer all the time. A lot of the older collectors are dying off, so they are, and the stuff is being lost, sadly.
Now, while you were sat in your office, you were on the telephone, I actually walked by and had a little look round.
That's good.
I picked this up. I've no idea what that's for. You must be able to tell me.
Yeah, this is one of the more interesting things, is picking up unusual bits and pieces. Believe it or not, Geoff, this was used if you had a bunion. Not actually on the bunion now.
Oh.
But you would get your shoe, and just demonstrate a little bit on this. Where you would have the bunion, there would be a little bit of a bump out in your shoe. So you put this inside the shoe, that outside, you would have your shoe damp, and you just push it down like that, and you make room for the bunion inside. As I did on this one here, just as an example. You see the way?
I can see it. Yeah.
It leaves it that little bit more comfortable.
Take away the pain.
Take away the pain, exactly. That's correct.
Fantastic. Now, I'm going to ask you a favour.
Yep.
I did sneak in earlier on. Would you mind if I carry on and have a look round and see if I can find something that I do know what it is?
Not in the slightest. I'd be absolutely delighted, Geoff. Make your own of it. Go round. If I can help you in any way, answer any questions, I will do.
If I get stuck, I'll give you a call.
That's good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you.
Good to see you, Geoff.
Well, I've just spent the best part of an hour wandering around this remarkable place, and I haven't seen a quarter of it yet. But time goes by, and I recognised something that I didn't know what it was, and I brought it out here. Now, this thing is called a grisset, and obviously it had a bottom in it. It's about 180 years old. And what they used to do with this, they used to put the pig fat in it, and then they'd warm it up, and they'd make candles. And what they used to do, they used to get a rush, and they used to draw it through the grisset, let it cool, draw it through the grisset until they built the candle up. So they got a rush candle. And then, what they did after that, they had this thing. And this thing is actually a candle holder. And what they did with it, they used to actually set the candle at an angle, like that. And then they lit that end, and it would burn for around about 20 minutes. Now, the interesting thing, if they needed more light, they used to put it in like that and light both ends. And that's where you get people burning the candle at both ends. Nice story. What a wonderful day I had. Fish with the old rod. Thank you, Bill. I'm back in my bothy, which is my private retreat. And as I've sat down at my desk, I've picked up this. And this is an interesting reel. It's the duplex reel, and it was made by Alcock's in Redditch, round about the turn of the century. And it's a forerunner to the modern casting reel. Works in a similar fashion. When you want to cast, you actually lift the spring, cast and let it go, then let it down and wind the line in again. Now this would have cost round about 2 and 6pence then, which was round about a man's wages. So they weren't cheap, but they were a modern innovation again. So we fish with the old stuff. I've talked to you about the old stuff, and now I'm going to refer to a little book that I've got. This was printed in 1878, and it's the Rutledge Book of Fishing, and it cost 6pence then. I shall be referring to this through the series, but I'm going to read you the first paragraph. And it says, "What can be more delightful than angling? Not indeed so much on account of the fish we may catch, but for the pleasantness of the recreation itself." Now, I don't think anybody can disagree with that. And I'll see you next time.
I'm gonna leave my worries behind today. Nothing round here could make me stay. The weather's fine, the time is right. I'm off to the river for a proper fight. Whoa, whoa, I'm going fishing. Don't you try to